Security cameras are our eyes when we're not around, and sometimes those eyes uncover some mighty bizarre happenings. Other times, they uncover unspeakable crimes and tragedies. Still other times, what we see makes so little sense that we view the footage and wind up with more questions than answers. Whatever the case may be, one thing's for certain: security cameras rarely turn up anything boring. Here now are the 10 strangest, weirdest, and downright bizarre occurrences caught on security cameras. Car 1, Thief 0. This video shows a would-be car thief not even beginning to learn his lesson and paying dearly for it. He tries to throw a brick at a car, but the glass must be super sturdy since the brick bounces right off. Undeterred, the thief tries again, encountering the same result. Rather than take the hint and move on to another car, or perhaps give up crime altogether since it's clearly not for him, the thief chucks the brick at the car yet a third time. It ricochets off the car for yet a third time, this time knocking the man upside the head and sending him down for the count. To add justice to injury, the car's owner shows up shortly afterwards and has the now extremely concussed thief arrested. Plus, it turns out this man had been robbing other cars before meeting his match, and his arrest meant everything he stole got quickly returned. There aren't too many better examples of crime doesn't pay out there. Dogs 1, Car 0. Somebody in the Turkish province of Sakarya had a ridiculously expensive car repair bill to look forward to, all because of a bunch of feral dogs who decided, for one reason or another, to utterly demolish the vehicle right in front of them. A pack of 8 or 9 stray dogs descended on a car and quickly began biting it to shreds. And by that, I don't mean they just bit a few holes in the tires and scratched up the paint job. No, they decimated this car, working together to remove the bumper entirely. Many of them then go pillaging inside the hood of the car, though the security footage doesn't show what they found in there, if anything. Nobody knows for sure what motivated the attack. Were the dogs starving and thought they smelled food in the car's engine? Was there a cat under the hood? Did they see human thieves do the same thing and decided it looked fun? Or was it, of all things, revenge? A Sakaryan veterinarian named Mustafa Yildiz speculated as much, suggesting that a similar car might have run over a member of the pack. If so, the dogs might have assumed this car was the culprit and that this car must pay. But even that's just a hypothesis. Only the pups know for sure, and they're not snitching because they're all very good dogs. The mysterious ghost train. This is one of the most mysterious bits of security footage out there. The video takes place at a seemingly empty train station, supposedly on March 10, 2018. After a few seconds of nothing, a train pulls up. Well, kind of. It's clearly the outline of a train, but it's also completely faint and transparent, almost like a ghost. This so-called ghost train stops at the station, waits for passengers, of which there are none, and then departs. So, what happened? Well, nobody knows. Some feel like it was a camera glitch, others think it was faked with basic CGI. But where is this train? We don't really know that either. The video claims it came from China, but several commentators insist, based on the PA speeches, that this was a Russian train station. It's not even that a ghost is the least mysterious part of the ghostly video, but here we are. Crime and contortionism. I'm typically loath to praise criminals for much of anything, but this guy is just plain impressive. Prison cameras captured a man who managed to wriggle his way through the food slot of his cell door, a feat that should be physically impossible. This video begins with the prisoner's epic escape halfway through, so we sadly didn't get to see how he fit his head and shoulders through the slot. All we know is that he did, likely thanks to a ton of grease. You almost don't even notice he's completely naked because you're too in awe of what he's just pulled off. After a quick gathering of his clothes, the prisoner makes his way down the hall to what he likely assumed was freedom, but probably wound up being a couple of guards uninterested in anything except marching this man back to his cell. Some people are simply too professional to be impressed by anything. The creepiest Ronald Reagan. Be prepared to never think about Ronald Reagan the same way again. Not after watching security footage of a man wearing nothing but a Reagan mask and a sock placed over his most private of regions. Reality TV actress Danielle Yancey of Jersey Belle posted security footage from her home showing the naked masked man creeping around her backyard on New Year's Eve of 2015. The man is seen crouching down, peering through windows, and after a short while, darting away from the premises. Since no actual harm was done, Yancey took it in stride, tweeting, "Interesting night in. Way to ring in the new year. Love having security cameras. Thank you, naked boy." It's the kind of zany incident that lends itself to all kinds of jokes. What can you come up with? I'll start with, win one for the stripper. Reaganomics After Dark. Please welcome to the stage the Red Hot Reagan Peppers. Can you top these one-liners? Let us know in the comment section below. The vape fail. If you're sick of everyone vaping these days, well, here's a video for you. A group of guys are hanging outside a building when all of a sudden, sparks start shooting out of one man's pocket. It's not just a few sparks either, as it truly looks like a firework display has gone off in this man's pants. As the man jumps around in panic, you can see him frantically fiddling inside his pocket. Finally, he grabs his e-cigarette, which had malfunctioned and exploded somehow, and throws it to the ground. Shortly thereafter, the e-cig stops sparking. The man's friends check to see if he's hurt, and then they all go inside, leaving the now useless vape machine on the ground. How could such a thing happen, you wonder? Most likely, the explosion occurred as a result of overheated batteries. Perhaps the man kept his vape on too long, or perhaps the vape was faulty and lent itself to battery destruction. Thankfully, no one was harmed, unless you count this man's pants. A premature elevator. Here's a story that could have easily turned fatal, but thankfully went no further than a jaw-dropping close call. In China, a man enters an elevator, as millions do every day. This elevator, however, was malfunctioning somehow, and it started rising mere seconds after opening its doors. Problem is, the man was only halfway into the elevator when it started to ascend, meaning his lower torso was on course to get crushed between the elevator and the building. The man survived unharmed, albeit shaken up and likely having gained a newfound love of stairs. A hungry pizza deliverer. Perhaps the hardest part of delivering pizzas is how you're constantly surrounded by delicious food that you don't get to eat. Even still, most delivery people don't give in to the temptation of actually eating their customers' orders. But here's one totally gross exception. This 2018 surveillance footage captures a Domino's pizza delivery man on an elevator in Surrey, British Columbia, heading upwards towards his customer. As soon as the elevator door closes, however, he reaches into his bag and slides out the pizza box. He then opens the box and begins eating the toppings. I'd love to say this man washed his hands beforehand, but odds are, the thought didn't even cross his mind. After chomping on a few pieces of topping, the elevator opens back up. The man closes the pizza, slides it back into the box, and heads off to deliver the food. You'll be happy to know the delivery man didn't get away with this. The hotel's concierge happened to be watching the footage and immediately ran to warn the customer of what happened. Domino's was also informed, and the delivery man was quickly fired. Hopefully, this impromptu snack was worth it. The murdering cop. Sadly, not all security camera footage is fun or harmless. Here's a perfect example of something bizarre that isn't funny or light at all. Rather, it's downright scary. On April 18, 2016, a woman named Missy Bevers was found beaten to death at a Texas church. Over 3 years later, her killer is still on the loose. The only possible suspect is in this video. And while nobody knows their identity for sure, everyone can see how eerie the footage is. This person, dressed as a police officer, is walking the halls of a church where they allegedly murdered Bevers. And they're doing so holding what was almost certainly the murder weapon. This person is seen wandering around the church, opening doors seemingly in search of someone. Here's hoping that one day, this murderer will be brought to justice. This despite how after 3 years, this crystal clear footage of the suspect has led to no solid leads whatsoever. The Elisa Lam mystery. Even without context, this security video is still pretty bizarre. A woman gets into an elevator and starts frantically pressing various buttons while huddling in an elevator corner. She then goes to the door and starts looking out in every direction in an almost panicked manner. At one point, she exits the elevator and starts gesturing with her curiously loose hands, perhaps talking to someone, or even nobody at all. After that, she walks off and the elevator finally closes, then opens, then closes again. The whole thing gets far creepier when the context that the woman in the video is Elisa Lam, a college student who was reported missing by her parents. Just days after police released this elevator footage, the last known video of Mrs. Lam, her body was found naked and bloated in a water tank at the same hotel where she had her final elevator ride. To this day, nobody knows exactly what happened the day Elisa Lam exited both the elevator and this mortal coil. The official autopsy revealed no foul play, nor were there any significant traces of drug or alcohol in her system. Lam was bipolar, so some speculate she was having a terrible episode that resulted in her death. Elisa Lam has become something of a modern-day myth, and her mysterious death has been a creative boon for many. TV shows like Castle, American Horror Story, and How to Get Away with Murder have based episodes, and even entire seasons on Lam's story. There have also been movies and even songs based on her and the endless speculation over exactly what happened. And it all began with perhaps the most bizarre security footage of all time. Thanks for watching this top trending video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.